Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend just a little bit of time talking about cards from Lord of the Rings card game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Grant Thompson, just along for the ride.
And I'm Ted Bennick, and I love talking about cards.
So, awesome. I love it when you say you love talking about cards, Ted. It's just the highlight of my week.
Well, that's great because I love talking about cards. I love talking about patrons, and that's what we're going to do.
And not in that order. Let's talk about patrons first. So, for anybody who likes what we do, we have a little patron account, and as of the recording of the show, we have 42 patrons, people that give us a couple of bucks every month to keep going on with what we do. And probably by the time this show airs, we're going to be just at the cutoff for the swag this year. So the swag deadline, I'll say it, but if it's after May, then you missed it. So everybody who becomes a patron gets a little bit of something, and if you get at the $5 and up level, you get the major swag, the big swag, the muy importante swag. I don't know, however you want to say it. But you can join down there right below Ted. You'll see, or covering up Ted's face, you'll see patreon.com/cardtalk2018. I would like to take this time to thank all 42 of our patrons, and I will do that by reading their names out loud right now. Grant, Katie, Eric, Rachel, Tony, Valentin, Eric, Dern's father, Moritz, Anders, Shane, Micah, Chris, Reagan, Robert, Brandon, Scott, Joe, Alex, Edmund, Peter, Niall, Carl, Vardine, James, Joshua, Matt, Russ, Justin, Jason, Robert, Kyle, Daniel, Mike, Robert, David, Sean, Lou, Phil, Joseph, and Dominic. Thank you so much for supporting our show, and it's a great time to be part of the community.
It is. You passed the test there, David. Good job.
I did.
Test.
I had a lot of willpower to get through it. So, Grant, what is today's card?
Well, you guys are really testing my strength of will.
Yeah. Wait, is it test of will or strength of will? Which one? I think they're both cards in the game, right? Strength of will is a card in the game too, right? So, maybe we're doing a hybrid episode where we're going to talk about both. Go
ahead. Today we're talking about a test of will from the core set, the one-cost spirit event with response. Cancel when the revealed effects of a card that was just revealed from the encounter deck.
So, test of will, Grant, I'll let you start. What do you love about test of will?
It's overpowered.
Oh yeah.
If you're running spirit, it's in every. If you're running any type of spirit, you put at least two copies of this card in your deck.
At least three.
Well, unless you David, in which case you make all 50 cards test of will and never draw it.
And still never draw it, right?
But,
wow, that's an old-time joke from like the third episode. Wow, holy cow.
But no, it's a great card. I mean, the ability just to shut down the encounter deck is very valuable. You get a Necromancer's Reach or a Master's Malice. You can just shut it down.
Yeah. Ted, what do you think of Test of Will?
Well, it's incredibly strong, and it's super good. If you listen to some of our interviews and interviews from other shows, the most recent designer Caleb has mentioned how he wishes this card was never made. Or if it was at a higher cost, or was more restrictive.
Right. Or all three.
Yeah, because he said it actually made the design space restrictive because you could put an effect into the encounter deck that the players could just cancel.
Right.
This effect is so strong that, as David or as Grant said, like, yeah, any time you want, you like this scenario has so bad, the treacheries are terrible, you will put in a spirit hero just to have access to this card and run 3 copies. And maybe most of the time I run Dwarven Tomb, which will then put a spirit card that you've played back in your hand, and I will use Dwarven Tomb just to recur this card.
Yeah.
So it's like having extra copies of Test of Will in your deck or higher. If you get 1 Dwarven Tomb and 1 Test of Will, it's like having 2 Test of Wills for that extra resource.
Right.
And it's worth it. It also, its most powerful effect is to cancel treacheries, but it cancels any when revealed, which do appear sometimes on locations and enemies.
Right.
So it's very strong because sometimes those effects, they'll do something to you at that point in time that is going to, kill a character, kill a hero,
right,
set you back in the quest, raise your threat, and stopping it is just worth it for 1 resource.
To highlight what you're saying, Ted, is right on. As a new player, you Test of Will and you Test of Will treacheries, and that's that's the easy low hanging fruit. But when you realize that you can cancel any when revealed on any encounter card, that's when you're like, oh, so you're in the Dread Realm and all those whites that come out and spawn because what do you when revealed, put them all that are in the discard pile, put them into play. That's a when revealed effect, but it's on an enemy, so that's worth Test of Willing for 1 resource. You can Test of Will that. Now, it doesn't cancel Surge or Doomed or anything like that. It only cancels the when revealed effects. But sometimes it's worth it to cancel, there's a lot of encounter cards that say, or treachery cards that say if it doesn't trigger, this card gains Surge, right? So it's conditional Surge. So a lot of times it's worth to spend the 1 just to not have to see what the Surge is all about. Like, you literally are canceling that turn of the encounter deck. And
and so that makes this card even stronger. It's more effective with less players, right? Because in solo, if you cancel the treachery that comes out, you've canceled the 100% of the encounter deck. And in a 2-player, you've canceled 50% of the cards, and so it gets progressively weaker the more players you add. But then usually at higher player counts, you want ideally everyone running a spirit hero, but 2 players in a minimum, hopefully 3,
right?
Just for higher chances of this card being in someone's hand when you need it.
Yeah, I was just thinking of an enemy that you probably want to cancel the when revealed effect of, and that's Ungoliant Spawn from Nightmare, passage through Mirkwood. When revealed, until the end of the phase, each character currently committed to the quest gets -2 willpower, and discard it if its willpower is 0.
Yes, so bad.
Right. I mean, there's a
that
lot of
kills that can just wipe your board.
Yeah, there's a load.
And so, I mean, to get meta on this, there's those cards that are instant death, like Grant has said, and then there's cards that just were written that said cannot cancel this. What's the one in Khazad-dûm? Sudden Pitfall, or something like that. What is it that your questing character dies and then
it is Sudden Pitfall, but Sudden Pitfall has the very dumb text
cannot be canceled, right? And so it's interesting to see the getting meta, how the designers have gone around the Test of Will thing. And Caleb has said it in interview after interview. At the beginning, he was it was just real easy. He would just say cannot be canceled, right? But as he developed as a designer over 7 or 8 years for Lord of the Rings, you could see instead of it being a when revealed, it may be a forced effect after you put any number of progress on a location, or a forced effect that would happen after you engage something, or maybe it was on the quest card because this can't cancel when revealed on quest cards, so it's interesting, from that design point, how it's progressed from something very clunky wording wise, cannot be canceled, to something a little more elegant where you can see those interactions happening in different places on the card. You know, so I don't know. That's just kind of my meta of the thing, because everybody's right. Like, you put this card in the deck. If you have Spirit, you put this card in the deck. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. If I'm seeing someone playing Spirit and they're like, I have no test tools in the deck, I'm like, what other card?
Right.
I could name 50 other cards in your deck that could be cut for Test of Will.
Right. Take out the 3 Unexpected Courages and put 3 Test of Wills, right? You know, like
seriously.
No, yeah,
yes.
If
that's what it came to,
right,
yes.
Right.
Like this, the second best card in the game can get cut for this card.
Right. Right. The second best card can get cut for the first best card, right? I mean, one of the things that I'm happy about, though, again, going back to my meta, is that this card, you still have to have it in your hand, right, Ted? Like, you still have to draw it.
Yeah.
You know, and so, like, you know, this doesn't, while it does cancel some of the stuff that happens in the encounter deck, you know, you can't necessarily rely on Test of Will to get you out of every jam. If your only solution to the problem is a Test of Will, then you don't have enough solutions, I think.
Right. You can't hope for this card. There's other ways to counter the encounter deck besides this card, but this is definitely the quickest, easiest, most efficient, and it stops really bad effects that can really
wreck your day.
Really wreck your sometimes canceling a card, a treachery at the right time will save you from losing the game, from having to wipe the board and start over.
That's sneak attack Melissa right there. I totally agree. You know, like, and you know, what are some other options to Test of Will? Maybe that's where we can.
Eleanor.
Hero Eleanor.
Yep. There's a lot of cancel and replace effects, right?
Is it the Dunedain Hunter?
The Dunedain Watcher.
The Watcher. Yep.
He's a 2-cost lower ally, and you can discard him to cancel specifically the when revealed on an enemy.
Yeah. Let's think.
There's also the door is closed.
Yeah.
Right.
But that requires a copy of it to be in
the victory display. That's a victory display shenanigans. But I guess the point is that there's not like a laundry list of things. The White Council? Does the White Council? No, that's positive.
No.
What's the one? Maybe I'm thinking of Orthanc. Power of Orthanc that gets rid of a condition attachment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
There's if you're playing the One Ring, there's that neutral card. I think it's the One Ring's
the Ring of Power or something like that. Yeah.
No, I think it's the one that readies.
No, isn't it the Master? It's not the Master Ring, is it? It's the ruling ring.
The ruling ring.
Yeah.
So that will let you exhaust the ring to discard a card and replace it.
Right.
So you get but that can still save you.
Right.
But of course, you have to be running the One Ring to play it.
No, the ruling ring is for an enemy.
Oh no! I feel like we've named every card except the one that it is. Then.
It's the Master Ring.
Mastering.
Okay. But I guess my point is that there's not a laundry list of cancellation, and I think that's important again to the meta. Like, Caleb was a brilliant designer, and I don't want this episode to be just Caleb, and MJ, and all those things. But like, by not including a whole bunch of cancellation, it makes it a little bit better from an encounter point of view, that you can you can't just have a player deck full of cancellation and then be successful in the game. There's not enough cards in the game to build a deck like that. It's good.
Yeah, and I'm also glad they didn't. Just touching on what you just said, it also stops a lot of the sphere bleeding. So you've got a few items in lore, you've got a couple neutral, and you've got a couple in a few in spirit. And I think that's enough to balance things out. You don't want something in pretty much every sphere, because then you're just going to get an amalgamation where all spheres do pretty much the same thing.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, there's to a degree. I think every sphere has some form of ways to manipulate the encounter deck.
Yes.
I know Tactics has at least one card to do some type of manipulation.
Wait no longer.
Yeah, wait no longer. I'm trying to. I can't think of one for leadership.
Leadership.
Well, the Dunedain Watcher is what is leadership, where you sacrifice her and or you discard her and cancel.
Well, she's the one that cancels the shadow. And then there's the Dunedain Lookout, which is the lore one that we talked about.
Right. Yeah, we said that was the Watcher before.
Right. Oh, did we? Yeah. I think the Lookout is the lore one, and then the Watcher is the leadership one that cancels the shadow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But there's always obviously you've got like sort of ways to manipulate the encounter deck to pull enemies out in Tactics, ways to pull out locations in lore, and a whole host of other things. But it's the Test of Will is probably by far the easiest way to get around things.
Yep. Very simple. Cost it. Like all you got to do is save that single resource. And that's my other advice to players too. My rule of thumb when playing is when you have the choice, you have 2 resources and you have a 2-cost ally for Spirit, and you're like, well, I could play this ally or I could save for Test of Will. The answer is always save for Test of Will.
Test of Will, yeah.
100% of the time.
The only time you don't do that is when you've got the Master Ring, because then you can cancel it and then you can play out your ally.
Yeah, maybe if like someone else is holding on to a copy of Test of Will, so there's at least one, and someone's like, oh, I can do at least one. But even then, you might regret it because there might be 2. If you're playing a 4-player game, there could be 2 really bad treacheries revealed that round.
Right. Yeah, it's this card is bonkers good, and
so should we just talk about that? We're giving it a 1 ring then.
Yeah. Well, before we give it a 1 ring for everybody, let's talk a little bit about the art, and I will lead this conversation. And I've talked about this at times in the past, and this is another case where I have gone art blind. Like if you asked me what the picture of Test of Will looks like, I would be like, well, it's orangey and dark, but I couldn't tell you what it was because I've just seen it so many times. Like it's just not like. And I also look at this and I wonder, like, is this a Test of Will? Like, does the picture line up? Because some of the core art does not line up with like the name of the card, or like there's a little bit of disjointedness there. So like, the flavor text is from Elrond. That doesn't appear to be a picture of Elrond, and it actually I don't know. So maybe some of the community alt arts would be better off. I always thought that the Test of Will was one of those callbacks to Eowyn fighting the Witch King. Like I don't know, but whatever this picture is, I don't know. I guess it's Boromir, maybe at Osgiliath or something. I don't know. Anyways, what do you guys think?
It's supposed to be someone specific, but I get what you're saying. But yeah, it's a generic like a hero standing against the shadow type of feel. Like rising up. I feel the art is very good. I think it matches the card very well.
Yeah, I don't think it matches the card. I don't argue the quality. The art fits with the game and all that. I just don't think it matches with what the card is. That's me. So, Grant, I see you're muted, but do you have anything to say about the art of the card?
I like the art. I mean, yes, it may not match something specific, but I do actually like the art. It's very well designed. And I was just thinking to myself that it could possibly be Aragorn standing on top of Amon Hen, looking out.
Could be.
Because there's 2 what look to be either rock formations out the back it could have been those could be the hills of Em and Wheel.
Right. Could be.
But it could be a lot of other
It
things.
could be a million other things. Too.
But I think all speculation is valid, and it just makes it one of those pieces of art that is going to be talked about for a while because there is no definite answer.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just I like the art. I don't know if I like the application of it. So, anyways, should we ring this guy?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So, for anybody who doesn't know or who may have forgotten, we have a highly scientific yet arbitrary system where we rank a card on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is the one card to rule them all, or the best card in the game, and 10 is the card that we throw back into the fiery chasm from whence it came. Maybe not a very good card. So, we'll go around the table. Grant, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Ted, and then we'll go to me, and then we will be, we'll wrap up the show. So, Grant, what do you rank this card?
1.
Ted, what do you rank this card?
1.
Me, 1. I don't think that there's much more to discuss. So, everybody, it's probably the best card in the game. So,
yep, and it's great. The only downside of it, besides the whole draw joke, is the core set only comes with 2 copies.
I know.
So if you want to not proxy it, you have to either buy 2 core sets, which most players do anyway, or if you get the special edition 2-player starter that has the alt art or
expanded art, I guess is what they call it.
Yeah, the like extended art, right?
Yep.
I think there's 2 in there, so then you'd have 4 copies.
Right, and so that would help. So
yep.
Yeah. So I mean, best card in the game, hands down. Any hero, whatever. Okay, everybody, join us again as we talk about more cards from the game that are less good than this one. So, have a great day, everybody.
Do you love the content? Here's what you can do to stay connected. Become a patron. The money collected through Patreon goes into keeping the lights on here at the podcast. We love our patrons, and you can join at many different levels. Visit patreon.com/cardtalk2018. You can subscribe to us, whether you're watching our YouTube channel or you're listening to us in your favorite podcatcher. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications of all our new episodes. Didn't know we were an audio podcast? Find us by searching Card Talk to get access to our 120 plus regular episodes. Didn't know we were a video channel? Find us by searching Card Talk LOTR LCG on YouTube, and there you can find not only our regular episodes, but you can find our bonus playthroughs and other content related to the game. Want to get a hold of Ted, Grant, or myself? Feel free to email the podcast at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.